10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
All systems go.
You're listening to Sudbury News Talk.
I want to show you something.
Stand by.
On the morning shift.
Anything
Could happen.
Sudbury News Talk on the morning shift.
And good morning, everyone. Welcome to Sudbury News Talk on the morning shift. I'm AJ Walsh. Glad to be here with you. Thankful that you're here with us on this Monday, October the 27th, 2025. I cannot believe where the time goes. It's almost Halloween. We're almost at the end of October. There was snowing the other day when it was supposed to be sunny, according to Environment Canada. But that was not the case. It was not sunny on Saturday. It was sunny a bit yesterday on Sunday, but yeah, it was very cloudy. There was a bit of snow, and that's what I think we're going to expect very early on this year is, according to the Farmer's Almanac, of all things, right? We can expect quite a bit of snow and very cold winter. But, you know, you hear a lot of things. I haven't gone to the source myself. I just heard people talking about it, that the Farmer's Almanac has said that. So I'll need to do my own research. Thank you very much. And so that's that. So we're live on CKLU 96.7 FM on terrestrial radio. We're also streaming live at cklu.ca on the internet. You can also find us, I'm not sure what I just did there, but you can also find us live at facebook.com/Sudbury News, youtube.com/Sudbury News. Make sure to like, share, subscribe, and follow the channel and the page. We'll do our best also to get your comments up on the screen for those listening, watching, read for those listening. As I'm trying to navigate my computer here and get it to do all kinds of things, as it shut down unexpectedly, and it's doing all kinds of funky things as usual, and trying to get everything going so that way we can do the show and have a monitor to see who's on and who's commenting and all that stuff. I'm not sure what just happened there. Oh my goodness, it just keeps getting more interesting and more interesting. Okay, so let's get to Facebook here, which we were supposed to do a long time ago, and it wants me to log in again. Okay, it is what it is. We're going to jump into a little bit of weather very shortly here, cover some local news, maybe have a bit of a deep dive, and see what's going on locally, see what's going on regionally, provincially, nationally, and internationally, so to speak. So let's see which particular Google that I've opened is going to work. Okay, something went wrong. Thank you. Not sure what's happening here. Yeah, I'm not sure why this computer wants to keep logging me out of my Facebook. It doesn't make any sense. Yeah, it wants me to use my authenticator app to get in. So yeah, it's just one of those mornings, I guess, with technology and on the fly. It is what it is. Okay, so yeah, we'll be on demand afterwards on Facebook and YouTube will also be on Sudbury.news. So make sure, and also twitter.com/Sudbury News. So make sure to, if you haven't gone to our Twitter yet and you have a Twitter account, it'd be good to go there and just follow it. It doesn't seem to be too many people from Sudbury on Twitter. It seems to be more of an American thing for some reason, but we'll put the show up on there so it's on demand. Let's dive right in with a little bit of weather. We'll be back with news headlines, your comments, and more right after this. And Sudbury weather brought to you by SudburyWeather.ca. As usual, currently it is 0 degrees. And today we can expect it to be sunny, fog patches dissipating in the morning, wind 15 kilometers per hour, high of 8, wind chill -5 in the morning, UV index is 2 or low, clear tonight, low of -3, and then tomorrow mainly sunny, wind 20 kilometers per hour in the morning, high of 8, wind chill -6 in the morning, so it's almost a carbon copy of today's morning, tomorrow. And then Wednesday, we're also looking at a high of 8 with mix of sun and cloud. And then Thursday, 30% chance of showers, high of 7. 60% chance of showers on Friday, high of 6. 30% chance of showers on Saturday, high of 6. High of 6 as well on Sunday with a 30% chance of showers. So you can see, as usual, for I don't know how long it's been, there's been precipitation on Halloween. It's just been crappy weather. It's just been crappy weather for Halloween, as far as I can remember, back, because we've just raised our kids. Now the grandkids are coming. So I can't remember a nice, mild Halloween night for the life of me. There could have been salt and peppered in the last 25 years or so, but I don't remember any. I just remember it being crappy, and it's forecast to be crappy so far again. So a 60% chance of rain so far, high of 6. Yeah, that's not good for the kiddies. So hopefully things, by the time it gets more towards Friday, the forecast will change to a better, better weather for the little guys out there trick-or-treating. That's our weather, brought to you by SudburyWeather.ca. We'll be back with news headlines, your comments, and more right after this. Okay, thanks for sticking around, everyone, as I can't really see who's on today, how many people that is, because our computer is on the... keeps asking me for my credentials for Facebook over and over, but that's probably my computer's fault. And good, let's see, Northern Hillbilly, good morning. Interesting times, yeah, for sure. And Roger, good morning to you. And Judy, good morning. And Roger, by the way, yes, you emailed me the other day. We'll just have to set up a day to have you come on the show. I think it's going to be an interesting topic about private ownership of land and what it means and what it's meant to us previously in Canada and what it's turning into now and what we can expect in terms of private property ownership in Canada. And Judy, good morning to you. Thanks for being on. Roger says, hopefully everyone got some good rest. It will be another crazy week for sure. You always got to get your rest, get your vitamins, get your exercise, eat well, rest well. I did not. There was a movie on last night that caught my attention just before going to bed, and I ended up watching it, unfortunately, and I had very little sleep. Vin, good morning to you. Thanks for being on. And Nana, good morning. Blessings, everyone. Same to you, Nana. Heart emoji. And Hazel, good morning. Prayer emoji, much needed, much appreciated. Judy says, I don't believe the Farmer's Almanac. Interesting. Hard to say. Yeah, I remember some years it said certain things and it was the opposite. I actually went out and bought it because I thought, okay, everyone's saying the Farmer's Almanac says this, the Farmer's Almanac says that. I'm going to buy it myself and see. And yeah, wasn't the greatest. It was the opposite of what it said in the Farmer's Almanac that year. Not saying that most years it's not. I don't know. I'm not a connoisseur. I'm not an expert on the Farmer's Almanac. And Larry, good morning, my fellow Canadians. Good morning to you as well, Larry. And Suzanne, good morning. Prayer emoji, again, much needed, much appreciated. And Leah, good morning. Hand clap emoji from Collingwood, one of Ontario's finest areas. And Denise, blessings everyone. You got your heart emoji going on there. Roger says there's so much going on. The budget is coming out and next year, and it will be a disaster. Well, yeah, I know it, and it should be for all intents and purposes, because we're getting a budget the first week of November for 2025. I mean, there's only 2 months left in the year. Like, I don't know. It's just, people say clown world, and I haven't heard a term that defines it as much as that. The kind of world we're living in right now, compared to the world we could have, with all the technologies and scientific advancements and all kinds of things. You'd think humanity itself would have embraced it in a positive way, and we'd be all, on this positive path. But unfortunately, it's things that are against nature. Everything's inverted. What you thought was good is bad. What you thought was bad is presented as good in society. And you have many people that are in positions of influence or power or control that, the decisions they make are questionable at best. Just, you could say illegal at worst, like treasonous, all these things, right? Like, we talk about how our government is above the law, how there are people who are above the law, not only in this country, but in the world. You see it time and time again. You say, oh, okay, well, they should be accountable for that thing they did. And then it's like, oh, no, they just got off, or the media just said, nothing to see here, and you move on, right? And there's no real accountability for people at the highest levels, whether you got tons of money, you're famous, you're in a high position of government. And then people wonder why people lose their trust in government in general. Well, it's because of things like that. If we've seen people in government as we see ourselves, and they were just down to earth like we are and held themselves accountable like everyone should, it would be a different ballgame. But unfortunately, that's not the case. And Denise says this weather reminds me of the winter of 2021. The snow was late in coming, but when we did get lots, but then we eventually got lots of snow that winter for sure. And Diane, good morning to you. Larry also says this is what happens when we have weather altering machines. Yeah, not sure how much of it is manipulated weather, how much of it is natural weather. There's both going on. So, and if people say they don't manipulate the weather, well, you just have to do your own research into it. It's been around since forever, and they use it a lot. And how much they use it in our local area, again, right? There's nobody who really monitors that, or it's definitely just, it's going on. If you look on government websites, we've given money to weather modification companies to modify our weather. So why are they giving them money if they don't modify the weather? Grand Rising to Sudbury, Steffi, yes, and to all. Grand rising to y'all. Suzanne says, good morning. Good morning to you as well. Larry, I think it's the government messing with me. No, it's not. It's just my dumb computer. I fully believe that. And Mikey, good morning. Good morning to you. Good morning, everyone. Go on to say happy Potato Day, folks. Potato Day? Wow. I didn't think it would come so fast this year. Also, we all know a few baked potatoes. Yeah. Oh, I won't even say a joke that just came to mind from my brother, but I don't know how appropriate it is, so I will just move on. Denise, it's to do with potatoes. But anyways, he's had the issue for a couple of years. I don't remember morning that he's never been. Oh my goodness. Yes, that's true. It's a lot of my fault though, not getting on time, because I know I need to end on time for the next show that comes on, but the start time is fluid. And because this is a volunteer show that, I've had to kind of like just be okay with in the morning if I need 5 more minutes of sleep or, whatever. But I should do a better job of getting started on time. I used to be very religious at 7:30 to 8:30, but then things started happening and I was like, okay, I'm not gonna lose sleep over it. We are a nation living within a nation. Things are changing. The king will be giving the lands back to the original people, and that will be global. Okay, we do see that happening. It will make things very interesting. Let's just say a lot of things are happening that's creating chaos. And discord and division amongst people. And the decisions are being made at the highest levels. And you have to ask yourself, well, is it on purpose or is it just a coincidence that this is happening? And you see more and more people fighting each other, finding fault with each other, and everyone's kind of in factions and different camps. And then it seems that the camps have to fight against each other instead of all realizing we're all the same. We're all in this same position on this earth for the same purposes. We're not. We're divided, and then we end up fighting against each other. And you have to ask yourself again, is it on purpose or did it just happen by accident? Northern Hillbilly says, people check out Simon Dixon. He explains what's going on the best. Oh, that's cool. Okay, well, there you go. Check out Simon Dixon. That's why you guys are here. And Denise says, I heard a rumor this morning that Niagara Falls has a curfew at 9 p.m. Larry's getting in touch with somebody to see if it's true. I hope it's not happening. Okay, wow. And that could be the case. And I guess Northern Hillbilly is calling the form of government that we have idiocracy. I say clown world. Similar to that, right? Larry says, this technology is fun to play with, but it will be the end of us. It will destroy the world. I'm telling you. I got a bad feeling. That's Larry. Yeah. Wait till AI hits us like blindsided. Like we think we know AI already. We just know a little tiny bit of AI. You know, all these data centers that are going on around the world. And if you don't know about data centers, just plug into YouTube because it's on YouTube as well. They're not hiding anything. Put how many data centers are being built around the world. And the data centers are meant to handle the AI that's coming, that's going to basically collect all the data on everything. You know, the Internet of Things, smart things, smart cities, smart appliances, all this data has to be stored, kept, analyzed, decisions made from these data centers that are all going up. It's going to take up all the energy we got in the world. Sucks up a lot of energy for these data centers, but we're going to have an AI world. It's just going to be everything AI. Decisions, huge decisions that are going to be made on a global scale are going to be made by AI. And we're going to be putting our trust in ones and zeros to tell us the right things to make. And it's supposed to be based on data, right? So they're going to say, these are the right decisions because they're based on the right kind of research or data. So AI is smarter than we are. So we're going to depend on AI to make our decisions. And nothing can go wrong with that, right? And that's right around the corner. Again, just research it. Data centers going up around the world. Unprecedented. Taking up acres and acres of land. Sucking up all kinds of energy. And emitting all kinds of illness-causing waves of energy for the people who live around these. They can't sleep. They're starting to get sick. So anyways, yeah, you could look that up yourself and find that out. We might have more on it on the show as we get little clips that explain it here and there. So Larry's saying the liberal society could go to heck. I don't want to be part of it. If this is what society is, who wants to be a part of that? Well, it's going to get more interesting, that's for sure. And yeah, get your popcorn, eat your vitamins, work out, get your preparedness, food, water, all that. Become as self-reliant as you possibly can so you can be as self-reliant as you possibly can for as long as you can, because I wouldn't be depending on anyone else but myself for the coming days soon. And Roger says, our property is being taken by regulatory expropriation. We've lost the right of use of our land, our homes, and even our money. Case in point, right? Who's in control of it all, right? Okay, so let's check out some of our headlines from here. And we'll get everyone's comments up on the screen as we go. We'll just give a morning shout out to Jerome. Says, good morning all. Have we seen the poverty food bank reports? Yes, we have. There's record numbers of people going into the crossing the poverty line and in food bank lines. And it's not getting any better as inflation continues to rise. Taxes continue to balloon as our government is going to put forward a budget saying that they're investing in Canada. It means all the deficits and the more we go into debt as a nation, they're calling it investments. So that way you'll be okay with it. But it just means that you'll have to pay it back at some point with interest. And I mean, that's how simple it is. You hear these economists going off trying to spin it or whatever. You go into debt, you put interest on it, you got to pay it back. End of point. Unless they make the case how much of the money they're going to make back on these investments, which I don't hear. They just yell really loud saying they're going to invest in Canada. And that's it. And they don't say, okay, we're going to get this amount of investments back by this year, so you won't have to pay the interest on it. They don't say that. Maurice, good morning to you. And Homestead Trad Wife, good morning to you. So we'll continue on here. Interfor shuts down Gogama Sawmill for 2 weeks. I think they did it as well in Nairn. Union head expects shift reduction, extended layoffs for 25 workers come November. I think that's what's going on with the sawmill with this company. who has more than one location. And I'm hearing it through the grapevine, basically. Shirley, good morning to you. Remember to drive safe and be safe. Good morning, Sudbury. And in other news, coming from our news aggregator, Sudbury.news, sometimes Monday news is very, the reporters in Sudbury they're not really on the beat, so to speak, on the weekend. So the Monday stories aren't like headliners. So the Liberals, they're putting forth a bill for, to being, for bail reform and tougher sentencing. And our local MP here, Vivienne Lapointe, says these reforms are in line with changes I'm pursuing through my private member's bill, C-238, to ensure our justice system recognizes the real burden that crime places on victims, frontline workers, and communities, Sudbury MP says in statement. Her private member's bill. There you go. I don't think her party goes along with that, though, like as much as one would hope, as it seems they have a very light on crime approach. And we have many repeat offenders on our streets, and that's why crime has gone up, because the same people are doing the crimes. So if you let somebody off over and over and over again, they just offend over and over and over again, and crime goes up. If that person was incarcerated in the first place, like they should have been for the crime they committed, then they wouldn't have repeat offended. And then you compound that by multiple people in multiple places doing the same things, your crime rates go up, and eventually it sends a signal to people who are more apt to commit crimes that, hey, they're soft on crime, so I can just continue to commit crimes, and there you go. I just get my hand slapped and I'm done. So here you go. Just looking up some more headlines here from Sudbury.news. So then we'll whip over to... Oh yeah, this is something that I've been wanting to cover on the show for a while. Cape Real celebrates National Communities in Bloom Award. They got an award. The town earned a 5 Blooms silver rating and a special mention for its Riverwalk during the 2025 competition. So Cape Real, beautifying its town, doing a good job, getting awards for that, which is pretty cool. If you're wanting to fly to Montreal, Ottawa, or Quebec City, ProPair begins flying out of Sudbury on October 27th. So that's today. So, hey, if you're thinking of going to Ottawa, Montreal, or Quebec City today, you just go by the airport and you can take a flight to there. And Bob's your uncle. So Trump announces additional 10% tariffs on Canada over the Ontario ad, if you haven't seen it. Moose on the Loose is a podcast that's out there. Does a really good job going through this in detail, what happened. So you got Doug Ford, who makes an ad basically taking Ronald Reagan and just taking snippets out of an address he made about tariffs back in the day. But he cherry-picked some of the comments and didn't put it in context. Sure, Ronald Reagan wasn't an advocate for tariffs like the way Donald Trump is doing it, but he wasn't against them either. He said tariffs can be used effectively in these situations. But Doug Ford just cherry-picked some of his comments out of that address that he made an infomercial, made a commercial, and used $75 million of our tax dollars to just, to promote these ads in the United States. Well, Donald Trump saw it and obviously took exception to it, said what you're trying to influence, and they put these ads in mainly Republican states as well to try and influence people about the tariffs and how Donald Trump is wrong for doing them. They're just attacks on his people and making that case. And then he got together with Gavin Newsom of all people and made a very corny video, very corny commercial. Talking a little bit about the Jays and the Dodgers for a bit, and then how they're making a wager, but they're also then taking cheap shots at Donald Trump and the tariffs as well. So this is the headline: Trump announces additional 10% tariff on Canada over Ontario ad. U.S. President Donald Trump announces that an additional 10% tariff on Canada. So Saturday he announced it because Ontario government didn't immediately pull down the anti-tariff ad it was running in the U.S. market. So he said, look, take the ad down or we're going to give you even more tariffs. And they didn't. So because of their serious misrepresentation of the facts, this is Donald Trump speaking, and a hostile act, I'm increasing the tariff on Canada by 10% over and above what they are paying now. Trump said in a post on social media platform Truth Social, their advertisement was to be taken down immediately, but they let it run last night during the World Series, knowing that it is a fraud. This was according to Donald Trump saying this. And he said it while he was flying on Air Force One to Malaysia. I guess I just need to say where he was when he said this. The Ontario government launched a $75 million anti-tariff ad campaign featuring former U.S. President Ronald Reagan earlier this month, and it was scheduled to run until the end of January. Late Thursday, Trump announced he was ending trade talks with Canada. So that was the first step he did. He said, we're done. We're not even talking about trade anymore. And then on Saturday, when they didn't pull the ad immediately, and it was on the World Series, during the World Series, he said, okay, well, not only are we stopping our talks on tariffs, I'm going to slap another 10% tariff on Canada. So that can't be good for Canada, right? So all this elbows up, we elected a leader for our country who is going to go down, and the whole term elbows up, do you know where that comes from? I'm sure a lot of people don't even though we live in Canada. It's like a dirty hockey thing. Like you're in the corners and you're going to elbow the guy in the face. Your elbows are up. It's a dirty way to play hockey. So that's what Mark Carney used as his campaign slogan, basically, elbows up. And he created, I guess, a cringeworthy, if I could use my daughter's generation's terms, a cringeworthy dance with his elbows up. If you haven't seen it, you got to YouTube it. The elbows up dance from Mark Carney and his wife. It's just gross. It's a gross dance. It's awkward. It looks dumb. But anyways, they were celebrating when he got his victory, the elbows up dance. So how's that working out for you now? Right? And he was anything but elbows up when he went down to the White House twice. He just looked like a little puppy dog beside Donald Trump. And I'm saying this, and you might say, well, that's fake news. I don't know what you're going to say. I know people who love Mark Carney, we got a lot of them in the city that vote liberal all the time in NDP, very left-leaning city, very socialist, bordering on communist city. And it's okay. You're allowed to vote the way you want and you're allowed to think the way you want, and it's okay. But I'm just asking, how is this working out now for you? How do you think things are going? So elbows up, you got the t-shirt, right? You went and bought the t-shirt. And it means to play dirty. You know, we got a rough and tough global banker who's our leader now. He was the best guy for the job. He was going to handle Donald Trump. You know, so how many months are we in now to this? And he promised us by what, July, he was going to have a trade deal. So he's the only thing I've seen in him go down to Washington. What I've seen with my eyes is that as Donald Trump was schooling him, he was just basically just, you know, the time he talked about men in women's sports and changing their gender and all this stuff. Well, Mark Carney has a trans child. He never stood up for his own child with Donald Trump, as he said. Donald Trump doesn't agree with this. He does not. He's got to stop it. It's terrible. He totally gave him, you know, what was on his mind, how he felt about it. And you would have thought someone who's got his elbows up would have said, you know, you're talking about my child now, and I don't think it's appropriate. But he couldn't even stand up for his own child in front of Donald Trump. Regardless of what you think about trans, the issue, politically, what it is, it's his child. He just took it. The opposite of elbows up. It's the opposite of elbows up. Elbows up, you're in the corners and you're dirty and you're hitting the guy in the face with your elbow. Meaning you're standing up. You're actually going above and beyond. You're more than standing up. You're being kind of like a bully to the other one. And now here you are, just getting schooled, taking lectures from the person you're supposed to go and handle and have your elbows up and be able to be savvy with negotiations because you saved this country from the 2008 financial crisis, which is not even true. But the media says it like it is. People believe it, like many people listening out go, what do you mean he didn't do it? You know, it's like, it was cookie cutter. Like, of course, he's got his elbows up. He's a banker. He saved Canada. He's the right guy for the job. So that's what we thought then. So I just want to, you know, in those sitcoms where they're saying something, I'm going to go do this, and then it flips and it shows what actually happens and it's funny. Well, it's not so funny, but now we're here. The promises were made and Trump has stopped his negotiations. He put an end to them. So that's where we're at. This is the reality. Regardless of how you want to make excuses now for what happened. And now we're saying, oh, Donald Trump just plays by different rules and it's things we can't control. That's what the liberals are saying now. It's out of our control. These things, you know, but you didn't say that in the campaign. You didn't say, get us so that way we can go down to Ottawa and then tell you it's out of our control and have Donald Trump just cut ties with us and stop negotiating. That's what we're going to do for you. Well, people wouldn't have voted for that, but that's what actually happened. Right? So did you have full confidence that you were going to negotiate with him, but now you're making excuses? So the very thing you campaigned on didn't come to pass. It's actually worse. We got more tariffs now, 10% more on the tariffs we actually already have. Negotiations are stopped, and it doesn't look like you're the person to do it. And you weren't in the first place. And many people knew that, but you had a good government-paid media that was on your side and revitalized your very destitute party that was about as low in the polls as they've ever been. And you had this leader come out of nowhere and revitalize everything. And the media was the media darling. He couldn't do anything wrong. So then our question we've asked last show will continue now. What one good thing has Mark Carney done since he's been our Prime Minister? What one good thing has he done since he's been our Prime Minister? Chew on that for a while. We'll be back same time, same place, on the same platforms, God willing, tomorrow. We appreciate you, all the comments. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. Stay tuned now for Earshot Daily on CKLU 96.7 FM. Remember to stay aware, like, share, take care, and we'll see you all tomorrow. Ciao for now. God bless.
This is Sudbury News Talk on the morning shift.